Hey, welcome back, everyone. A reminder for you new listeners and for those who have maybe forgotten. I have a newsletter that comes out each week. In it, I provide tips and resources to help you prepare for transition, plus other good general information for you. There's a link in the show notes. I hope you'll go sign up. All right, let's get on with it. Let's be real. If these jobs were easy, everybody would do them. They'd throw on the uniform and walk into chaos like it's just another Tuesday. They'd run towards the fire, the fight, the unknown without flinching. They'd hold the line night after night, knowing most people will never understand what it takes just to show up. But most people don't do this job. You do. And you've probably gotten used to the weight of it, the grind, the pressure, the expectations. You've carried it so long, it starts to feel normal, even when it shouldn't. But just because you've mastered the mission doesn't mean the next chapter gets easier. In fact, in a lot of ways, it gets harder. Transition doesn't hand you a playbook. No one's telling you who you're supposed to be when the uniform comes off. There's no checklist for rebuilding your identity. There's no after-action report when it comes to you as a mission. And the truth is, the toughness that carried you through your career, it doesn't automatically translate. Not unless you make it. This next part, it's going to demand something different from you. Not the strength to kick down a door or drag a hose, but the strength to face rejection, to hear the hard truths, to operate without the tools you've leaned on for years. That's a different kind of hard. But make no mistake, it's still part of the job. It's still about being the one who shows up. So with that, let's get into round 75 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is lean into discomfort. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, build rejection resilience. The job hunt won't go easy on you, but that doesn't mean you're not built for it. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in 5 years or so, get the feedback you fear. What you learn from discomfort today becomes the leadership that follows you tomorrow. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your careers, you've got at least a decade before your transition, do a no-help week. You've got time, but don't waste it. Train now like you won't always have backup. Close range group. Build rejection resilience. You're close. This career you've been doing, whether you're military or first responder, it's wrapping up. Maybe not tomorrow, but soon enough that it's starting to feel real. And that feeling, it's weird. It's heavy. It creeps up on you in quiet moments. The gym feels different. The routine starts to crack. You're not just counting down shifts. You're thinking about what comes next. And then you're wondering if you're ready for it. And one of the first hits people usually take when they get serious about this next chapter, rejection. Let's call it what it is. You've probably spent the entire part of the majority of your adult life in roles where you're the answer. You were the one who got the job done, the one people called when things went sideways. And now, suddenly, you're tossing resumes into the void, hoping someone even notices. That's a brutal shift, and it messes with your head. You apply for a job you're qualified for, probably overqualified for, and you hear nothing. Or worse, you get the generic, "We've decided to move forward with another candidate" email. It's demoralizing. It's personal, even when it's not supposed to be. But know this, rejection isn't the enemy. It's part of the training now. This is your new ruck run. It's mental, emotional, and you're going to have to build a whole different kind of endurance. Think of rejection as reps. Here's the first mindset shift. Every no you get is a rep, not a failure, not a sign you don't belong, a rep. You didn't get strong or skilled in your current career doing things once. You drilled, you repeated, you learned under pressure. That's what this is now. Every rejection is building up that emotional muscle that you're going to need out here. Here's something to put you to the test. Apply to 10 jobs this week. Yes, 10. Even if they don't check every box, even if you don't think you'll get a call back, even if your ego is screaming, don't bother, apply anyway. And then, this is the key. Don't treat each one like it's your only shot. Take the emotional weight off. This isn't about the one. It's about getting comfortable in the discomfort. Let the process desensitize your ego, because the more you get used to that no, the less it defines you. You are not your last title. Let's talk about that ego for a second. It's normal to have your identity be in the uniform. You earned respect. You held the line. You had authority. So when a recruiter skims your resume and doesn't see the value, it stings. It feels like a rejection of you, your experience, your discipline, your integrity, but it's not. It's usually a computer filter or a hiring manager who doesn't know what your job title is. Or, and this is the really big or, a job posting that was already filled internally. The hiring process on the outside isn't clean or respectful. Don't let it rewrite your story. You are not your last assignment. You're a person with skills, leadership, and adaptability. And that doesn't go away just because someone else doesn't see it. Rejection is data. This is where you flip rejection from something emotional to something useful. After every interview or application, journal what you learned. Write down what felt strong, what felt flat, what feedback you got, if any. Ask yourself, was I too heavy on acronyms? Did I speak too formally, or was I too casual? Did I accurately explain the impact I made? Was I clear about how my experience relates to the job? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about building awareness, about treating each no like it left behind a clue you can use next time. You know what that is? That's tactical. That's how you trained your whole career. Assess, adjust, re-engage. Reframe no as not yet. You've probably heard this before, but I want you to believe it. No doesn't mean never. It just means not yet. Let me give you a visual. Think of a transition like being back on the range. The first few shots might be off, but each one teaches you something. You recalibrate. You adjust your stance. You figure out where your aim is drifting. That's how you find your zero. That's what rejection is doing. It's fine-tuning your civilian aim. So the next time you hear nothing or you get passed over, remind yourself, I'm still on the range, still putting the rounds on target, still tightening the group, and eventually you're going to hit center. Grind, spelled G-R-N-D, isn't just a brand, it's a mindset. Started by a former Army Ranger, Grind activewear is for those who wake up hungry, train with intensity, and chase their goals relentlessly. Whether you're on the field, in the gym, or grinding towards your next mission in life, Grind delivers performance gear that keeps up. This is American-made toughness with purpose. Visit thegrindcollective.com and wear what you live. Check out the show notes for a link and a promo code for 15% off your purchase. Play the numbers game like a pro. Another thing you probably weren't expecting, just how many applications it's going to take. We're used to linear results. You train, you certify, you get the assignment. Civilian hiring doesn't work like that. It's messy, it's slow. Sometimes it feels totally random. Some of the veterans and first responders I've met sent out over 50 applications before they got traction. Not because they weren't qualified, but because the system is built for nuance. So here's what I want you to do. Track your applications. Start a spreadsheet. Name of the company, job title, date submitted, contact info, follow-up notes. Make it part of your process. This removes the emotion. You stop feeling like one rejection defines your future, and you start treating the whole process like a mission with checkpoints. Control what you can influence. Here's the part that will feel uncomfortable. You don't get to decide who hires you. You can't control when they respond or if they understand your background, but you can control how prepared you are. Control your resume. Is it polished, civilian friendly, and relevant? Control your interview. Are you ready? Did you answer questions like a storyteller, not a report writer? Control your follow-up. Are you staying visible without being pushy? This is where professionalism becomes your new currency. You might not outrank anyone anymore, but you can out-prepare them, and that edge matters. Get hit on purpose. If you take nothing else from this section, take this. Don't wait for the rejection to sneak up on you. Go out and chase it. Apply, interview, get in front of people. Let them say no, and then come back sharper. This is how you own your transition. Not by hiding, not by waiting for the perfect opportunity, but by stepping into the fire and getting stronger every time. Remember, you've already done harder things than this. This is just a new kind of hard. Medium range group. Get feedback you fear. You've got some time, 4, 5, maybe even 6 years before your transition's official. You're not in countdown mode. You're still handling things like it's any other day. And if I asked you right now, are you ready for transition? You'd probably say, I've got a while. And that's fair. But time doesn't automatically make you ready. It just gives you a choice. You can use it or you can waste it. And one of the best uses of it is getting brutally honest feedback about how others actually experience you. I know, that already sounds uncomfortable, but that's the point. This is about leaning into the kind of discomfort most people avoid, the kind that exposes blind spots and forces growth. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone told you something you did not want to hear, but you needed to hear it? Most of us build comfort zones around our competence. We're respected. We know our role. People come to us for answers. But all that status can turn into insulation. You stop hearing the hard stuff. And that's dangerous, not just for your future career, but for your leadership and your career today. This podcast is sponsored by Brothers in Arms USA, a veteran-owned clothing brand where every piece of gear or accessory is 100% American-made. Their products tell stories of brotherhood, discipline, and honor, paying tribute to those who serve, have served, and those we've lost. Whether you're an outdoorsman, a proud patriot, or somebody who respects quality craftsmanship, you'll find something that speaks to you. Visit brothersandarms.com, spelled out fully, brothersandarms.com, and use the promo code TRANSITION20 for 20% off. You're still leading, but who's following? Right now, you're in a critical phase. You've got trust. Your team knows you. You're mentoring younger members of your team without even probably thinking about it. But here's the thing. When you leave, what stays behind? Your legacy isn't just what you did. It's how people felt working with you. It's the behaviors they model after you're gone. And unless you're getting honest feedback about what's actually landing and what isn't, you're operating in the dark. This is your window to shape the version of you that shows up after the uniform. And that version, it's built on awareness. Break the echo chamber. Let's be real. When you've been doing the job a long time and you've earned some rank or authority, people stop telling you the truth. They tell you what you want to hear. They stay polite. They dodge the real conversations. Not because they're dishonest, but because they don't want to rock the boat. You've created an echo chamber, and the only way to break it is to ask for feedback no one wants to give. That means sitting down with your peers and your subordinates and saying, What's something I do that makes the job harder for other people? Or what's one habit I have that holds our team back? You might have to convince them that you really want the truth. But then, ask it and close your mouth. Just listen. I promise you, it's going to sting a little. But that sting, that's your growth point. Use better questions. If you ask vague questions, you'll get vague answers. Instead of, how am I doing? Ask, what's one thing I need to unlearn before I move into a role outside of this place? When I'm under stress, what do I do that negatively impacts the team? If someone had to follow my example every day, what would they struggle with? These aren't easy questions. They're not supposed to be. But asking them now gives you real-time feedback that can actually change how you do things now and after you're out. Practice emotional control. This is your new range. You're going to hear something that makes you flinch. It might hit a nerve. It might feel unfair. You might want to justify or explain or say, yeah, but don't do it. That moment right there, that's your range. That's your trigger control, your breath work, your stress management drill, but in a different form. Take the feedback, write it down, sit with it. Ask yourself why it landed the way it did. Is it something you've heard before in different words? Is it showing up in more places than just work? That pause between reaction and reflection, that's an emotional discipline, and it's worth more in the civilian world than any certification you'll list on your resume. Build a 90-day development plan. Once you gather feedback, especially if you start hearing the same themes more than once, turn that into a personal development plan. Nothing fancy. Just pick 2 or 3 areas you want to get better at. Let's say you've been told your tone comes off aggressive when you're under stress. You tend to solve problems alone instead of involving the team. You struggle to delegate because you assume no one else will get it done right. Turn those into measurable goals. For the next 90 days, tell yourself, I'm going to check my tone by pausing a few seconds before responding, especially when I feel triggered. I'm going to assign tasks I'd normally do myself and follow up after, not during. I'll ask one question in every team meeting that invites others to offer input before I do. Then track it. Journal your wins. Own your missteps. That's how you create self-led growth. I want to be clear. This feedback isn't just about giving better answers in job interviews. Yes, it'll help when someone asks, so tell me about a time when you handled criticism. But more importantly, it becomes part of who you are and your leadership DNA. You're no longer operating by instinct. You're operating by design. You'll walk into your next chapter with stories and examples of how you adapted, how you listened, how you grew. That kind of leadership, that kind of self-awareness, being honest, constantly sharpening, is magnetic. It lands jobs. It builds teams. It earns trust. Legacy isn't what you leave. It's what you shape now. You're in a window of opportunity. You've got the time. You've got the influence. And you've got the ability to shape not just how you finish, but how you prepare others to continue. When you lean into hard feedback, you're not just improving your chances post-transition. You're improving the quality of your leadership right now. You're building a team that can run without you. You're preparing someone else to take the reins. That's leadership in its purest form. And when it's time for you to step away, you won't be clinging to your position. You'll be walking into your next chapter with confidence, knowing you finished well and started preparing early. Because that's what professionals do. They don't wait until the end. They build the bridge while they're still crossing it. Long Range Group. do a no-help week. You've got over a decade, maybe even more. You're early in the game, maybe just hitting your stride. You're not burned out. You're not coasting. You're building. And honestly, that's the perfect time to talk about this. When you're this far out, transition feels like someone else's problem. And I get it. Why focus on an exit you can't even see yet? But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't always get to choose when transition shows up. Sometimes it's an injury. Sometimes it's changes in your organization. Sometimes it's just burnout that creeps in and hollows out your drive. And sometimes it's just life showing up with a curveball. That's why the smartest thing you can do right now is build the kind of capability that doesn't need comfort to function. You've got support. You've got systems. You've maybe even got some rank under you by this point. But what happens when all of that is gone? This is the challenge. I call it the no help week. For 1 week, once a quarter, I want you to operate as if your rank, your routine, and your network disappeared. No calling in favors, no flexing your position, no leaning on shortcuts or systems you didn't build. You strip all that away and see what happens. That's your raw capability. That's the version of you that survives transition intact. This is a stress test for your professional identity. Simulate the loss of authority. Start here. Don't lead with your title. Don't use your rank in conversations. Don't rely on positional power to move a task forward. Communicate, influence, lead with presence, not pressure. You might be surprised how often people respond to what you are rather than who you are. And if they don't, good. That's data. That shows how much of your leadership is based on hierarchy instead of trust. On the outside, no one's going to care about your rank. What matters is how well you build buy-in, how clearly you communicate, and how consistently you deliver results. Practice that now, and you'll be way ahead later. Observe without intervening. This one takes humility. Spend your no-help week watching more than talking. Let the team make decisions. Let people stumble a little. Don't correct every mistake before it happens. Don't solve everything before they ask. You're not slacking, you're learning. Watch how your team or your squad mates operate without your hand on the wheel. What happens when you don't steer? Are they empowered? Are they dependent? Are they thinkers or just followers? Because if you had to walk away tomorrow, how would your team run without you? This week will show you exactly what you need to fix in you. At Trident Coffee, the mission is clear. Build community, support wellness, and brew with intention. This veteran-owned brand roasts beans specifically for cold brew, creating smooth, bold flavor without the bite, hot or cold. But here's the difference. Trident packs their cold brew with brain-boosting lion's mane, MCT oil, and hydration-supporting electrolytes. It's coffee that fuels focus, energy, and connection. It's not just what you drink, it's how you live. Trident Coffee, full steam ahead. Go to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your purchase. Cut off the network. Most of us have built our success on relationships. We know who to call when a problem pops up. We know which doors to knock on, what favors to ask, who owes us what. But this week, none of that. Don't reach out to your usual go-to. Don't drop a name. Don't push up through channels just because you can. Solve problems like you're a newbie or a rookie. Like you've got no history, no reputation, no clout. Why? Because transition's going to strip you of some of your network. You'll start over somewhere where nobody cares what you did before. This week is your way of training for that, of learning what tools you've actually built and what tools have just been loaned to you by the job. Ditch the systems. Now let's take it even a step further. Pick a task, a routine, one system you rely on, and ignore it. Or if you can't ignore it, try rebuilding it from memory or build it from scratch. Force yourself to adapt. Your ability to improvise, to design from scratch, to problem solve under constraints, that's your advantage. Not just post-transition, but now. There's bound to be times when the usual systems are down, but the objective still has to be met, and you sharpen yourself by this kind of pressure. Every time you feel the urge to fall back on the usual, that's your moment. Lean into it. Get uncomfortable. That's the good pain. That's growth. Keep a running log. Start a dependency log. Anytime you think, man, I wish I had, write it down. Whether it's a person, a tool, a system, your title, your rank, log it. Those are your hidden dependencies. They're not weaknesses, but they're signals. They tell you where your success still leans on things you don't fully control. And once you know those, you can start replacing them with your systems, your relationships, your resourcefulness. Why this matters today. This isn't just about being ready later. A no-help week makes you better now. It makes you humbler, sharper, more adaptable. It keeps you from getting soft in the comfort of your routine. It keeps your edge. And maybe most importantly, it shifts your mindset. Because when you start practicing life without the safety net, you stop fearing its loss. You stop gripping the uniform so tightly. You stop building your identity around the tools and your title, and you start building it around you, the person, the professional, the leader. That's the version of you that walks into any room, in or out of the uniform, and knows who you are. You've got time. Use it. This isn't about rushing your exit or obsessing over transition. It's about choosing to lead your career, not just follow its path. Every no-help week is a small act of self-reliance, a test of readiness, a statement to yourself that you're not defined by your systems. You're defined by your growth. 1 week, 4 times a year. That's all it takes to start shaping a version of you that doesn't need the uniform to be effective, doesn't need the system to thrive, and doesn't need the title to know your own worth. You're early in the game, and that's the best time to train like you'll be tested later. Because one day, you will be. Some challenges don't show up wearing a name tag. They creep in quietly, through discomfort, through resistance, through that little voice that says, this isn't as easy as it used to be. All right, let's bring this home. You don't need a calendar reminder to know something's shifting, whether it's a year from now or far off in the distance. You'll know when it's time. And when that time comes, you'll be ready because you chose to lean into discomfort. Thank you for listening to or watching the episode. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out either on social media or send me an email. All the links are in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platforms you get your podcasts, and you can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you would, please leave a rating. The more ratings the podcast gets, the more the podcast gets recommended to other people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from and enjoy it. And last, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter.